Hi everyone, and welcome for the final time to the beginning parenting course offered by the Leadership Society of Arizona. Over this course, we've discussed the no influence model, a paradigm shift that we believe is essential for all parents to understand in the development and ensuring the success of their children. In this lesson, we are going to talk about the third principle of the no influence model, which is action-focused. We're going to get into how you can apply this into your parenting. But before we get into the lesson, I first want to have a recap of the direction we've been heading with the no influence model. We first started with the first principle, individual-centered. This taught us that we're not trying to change the child. We're actually trying to understand who the child is. Once we observe and figure out who the child is, what their strength is, then we want to shape all of our resources in all of our support to helping the child become who they are. The second principle, simplicity structured. Once we shape all of our resources and support to help the child develop in what they're very good at, in what their strength is, we then want to make sure that all of our interaction with the child is very simple, that it enables the child to minimize their stress, enables the child to see farther into their life. And you know I have to do this for the final and last time, the water bottle. We need to make sure the child sees life so simply that they can see into their future. They know exactly what's going to happen. It'll allow them to be able to learn quicker and be able to enjoy their life 10 times more. Now, after we learn who the child is, we simplify our actions. We have now pulled back from parenting a lot. We are now allowing the child their freedom. The third principle is the only principle in which now we're actually going to try to help the child a little bit. Now, you notice that this is the third principle. It means that once we've figured out who the child is, and we've ensured that our interaction is minimal and simple and easy to understand, this is the only way that we can know how to help the child, how to do something for the child. And so now as we get into action-focused, it's going to take all three principles actually in order to be able to implement the action-focus into your parenting. So let's begin. On the screen, I actually created an action-focused process, a step-by-step process that you can take to be able to know how to implement this into your parenting. The process is very logical, so I'm going to give you a little bit of time to be able to read it. It starts with understanding your child. What does your child want at this time in their life? The second step is then figuring out, understanding who your child is, what is the next step in their life? What is something that they can do to move their life forward? The third step then will be to help them to figure out what is this thing that they can do. One of the things I want to point out with the third step is that this doesn't necessarily mean you have to tell them what to do. It could mean that you provide the opportunity or the right environment so that your child can figure it out on their own. I recognize this is very difficult. I recognize that it takes some expert parenting to enable a situation where your child can figure out the next step that they must do on their own. I realize that not all parents might be able to do this. So if you do need to give a suggestion to your child, you do need to offer something to your child that is definitely acceptable. Now, after you do this, then you also need to keep following up with your child. Once they find something to do, you still have to figure out who your child is. You still have to learn if they're actually doing it, if they're enjoying it, if it's something that's really helping them get to where they want to go. Now, as you follow up with them, if they're doing well and they're progressing and they're doing something, then you let them go. Once you find out that they've stopped, or they don't enjoy what they're doing anymore, or they're not progressing, that's when you repeat the process. Now, one of the things you can see on this process is that next to each step, I've actually identified the principle that you're applying with each step, so that you can see how all three principles are needed in order to really help the child move forward in their life. I do want to mention that not all things a child will do brings back the same amount of benefit to the child. The best way I can explain this is by giving you a picture of a house. I split up all actions into two categories, and when you look at the house, the first category are things that you can do in the house. This could be like learning an instrument or a skill. It could be learning to read or write or do arithmetics. The second category is called the foundation. These are things such as understanding more about yourself or about life. Things that bring stability to a person. Now, activities, the first category, these are things that are easy to focus on, but the reward and the amount of benefit a child will get from doing them is not nearly as much as the second category of foundation. When a child focuses on things as foundation, understanding life, understanding themselves, these are harder things to focus on for the child, but the reward is 10 times greater than the activities that they can do in the house. It will make them more stable. The foundation of a house, remember, is what brings its longevity. It's what brings its stability. There are three main actions a child can focus on to build a strong foundation and improve their stability. Let's get into it. First is physical well-being. Physical well-being actions are things that focus on the body. Many people don't realize that the physical body is just as important as a person's mental capability. Education focuses on mental capability, on a person's intelligence. But people don't realize in order to stabilize your intelligence, in order to give it stamina and allow it to perform at its maximum capacity, you have to take care of your physical body. Many people don't realize as you get older, if you haven't taken care of your physical body, you won't be able to have the strength it takes to take opportunities that will really utilize your mental capability. And so when a child focuses energy on their physical body at a young age, it allows them to be able to develop properly. What are some of these actions? One, it could be exercising, improving the strength of their physical body. Two, it could be eating right, making sure the body's getting the nutrition it needs. Three, it could be sleep. If you've ever seen the importance of sleep videos on YouTube, you'll learn that if a person is not getting enough sleep, it's very difficult for them to operate at a high mental capacity. The fourth then will be actually relaxing the body. This could be things like yoga or meditating, things that allow the person to de-stress, to clear their mind. It will then refresh them and enable them to be able to get out into the world and do more. The second category. This is natural laws and logic. In previous lessons, we've already gone over what a natural law is and the importance of it. But as a child focuses on improving their understanding of these laws and utilizing these natural laws in understanding what they are, they will be able to see farther in their life. They will be able to understand life more, understand why things are happening. This allows them to use an approach I call trial and error. It allows them to go in and try something out. And when they don't succeed, to be able to figure out what they did so that the next time they do it, they can improve upon it. They will learn the patterns in life to allow them to adjust and make things better in their life. This is different than what most people do, which is I call error in error. Error in error is when someone does something that's not optimal, but because they don't understand the patterns in life and how life works, when they do it again, they will do the same thing, the same error. They don't learn. And so natural laws enable a child to learn quicker and be able to see farther in their life. The third action a child can do is personal identity. These are actions that help a child figure out who they are. The way I like to put this with the children that I teach, mainly because I know that they love Kung Fu Panda. They've watched it and they enjoy it. So I tell them, look, does it make a difference if a panda bear believes his father is a goose or a panda bear? And they tell me, Dr. Jacob, I've never thought about that. I said, now look, if a panda bear believes his father is a goose, then the panda bear will try to imitate what a goose does. How successful do you think a panda bear will be in imitating a goose? Do you think it can learn to fly? Do you think it can do the thing that geese do? No. This means when the panda bear goes out and tries to develop itself, it's going to be a failure. And it's going to feel like it's a failure. This is the issue when a panda bear doesn't know who it is and where it came from. And this is why it's so important in your life to understand who you are and where you came from. Because if you're doing the wrong actions, if you're doing the wrong things, then it's going to cause you to feel bad about yourself. But the more you understand who you are and what your talents are and what your value is, the more you're going to see the value in yourself, and the more value you're going to be able to add to other people. Now, what are activities that can help a child? What are actions a child can do to be able to improve their personal identity? These are things like, one, talking more with their parents, understanding what their parents felt when they were their age, understanding how they were when they were younger, when they were too young to remember. Two would be talking to relatives and maybe grandparents, finding out where their lineage and heritages come from. These are all things a child can do to really improve their personal identity. The third thing they can do is anything that helps them figure out more about themselves. This could be taking personality tests. It could be going and doing and trying out activities of some of the talents that they might have and really exploring what they're capable of doing. These are all things that can build the personal identity. So to recap, there are three main things that a child can do to improve their foundation and their stability: physical well-being, natural laws, and personal identity. These are things that will bring the greatest reward back to the child. So in our lesson, we talked about the process of implementing the action-focused principle into your parenting. And we also identified the most important things a child can do and act upon to bring back the greatest reward and the greatest improvement to them. And that concludes the beginning parenting course offered by the Leadership Society of Arizona. Thank you so much for going through this class with me. It's been a pleasure having you. And if you have any questions or concerns over anything that you've heard or you've been implementing into your parenting, please let us know. Send us an email, contact us. We would love to talk with you. Thank you so much again. Good luck with raising your child and building a greater relationship with them. And we'll see you later. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video and you want to see more, press the thumbs up button below and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below and we'll answer them in future videos.